Today's video is going to be pretty upsetting. What I'm about to share with you guys involves a local church leadership, a foster care organization, and years of public records that raise very serious questions. Based on extensive research into tax filings, public funding records, and government's documents, I personally believe that parishioners and the public may have been taken advantage of, and I don't say that lightly. This isn't gossip. Everything I'm going to show you directly comes from publicly available documents. At the center of this foster care agency, and I can't say this enough, if anybody in the city of Buffalo or Western New York, anywhere, if there has ever been a legitimate client of Sarah Mini Foster Care Agency, I'm asking you to reach out to me, because at this point what I've uncovered seems that this foster care agency was a shell company to be able to funnel money to insiders at a local church. Now, Sarah Mini Badger Foster Care Agency for over a decade received hundreds of thousands of dollars, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Up until 2017, something happened. In 2017, it crashed. Now, let me tell you who is on the board of Sarah Mini Foster Agency, because this is very important. We have Tara Fulgham, Bishop Michael Badger of the Bethesda World Harvest International Church, Janique Curry, Veronica Baker, and Monica Wilson. Now, pay attention to these names, because there's a lot of transfers going on between the church and this foster care agency. Also, Tara Fulgham, who is the president of the foster care agency, is Bishop Badger's daughter, and Veronica Baker, the trustee of Sarah Mini Badger Foster Care, is an elder and a minister at Bethesda World Harvest Church. Bishop Badger is the bishop at that church. Now, in 2015, this foster care agency had 0 employees. They stated that all of these board members did minimal work in the agency, and they did not pay themselves any money. But according to the tax returns, there was $201,000 in payroll expenses. No payroll tax returns have been filed. The tax returns explicitly state that there were no employees and that the board members didn't pay themselves. This $200,000 of public money is completely missing. It's unaccounted for. And another thing that I really need to stress here is Janique Curry is the regional director for Kathy Hochul's office. Yes, Janique Curry, who I believe also has family ties to April Baskin, that's Senator April Baskin, is the regional director of the executive offices of the governor, which is Kathy Hochul. Now, the biggest problem that we are seeing here, now, the foster care agency was paying rent to Bethesda, the Bethesda Church. I'm just going to say that because it's a very long name. And that is very improper. One, they didn't file any tax returns to claim that rent income. Some of these years, they were deducting $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in rent, and that is well above the fair market value. That is considered excess benefit. It could be personal inurement. The tax returns that were filed, you guys, they're completely false. They're misleading to the public. So again, the nonprofit paid office rent to Bethesda which Bethesda, according to property tax records, owns the property. It's controlled by board members and their family. Michael Badger is the treasurer and board member of the nonprofit, and he's the bishop at the church receiving rent. Veronica Baker, she's a board member of the nonprofit, and she's a minister at the same church. Tara Fulgham, she's the president of the nonprofit, and she's the daughter of the church's pastor. This is multiple insiders having simultaneous control over both sides of the transaction. It completely destroys board independence. It creates constructive self-dealing. And it was also stated in the tax returns. Now, these tax returns were reviewed and signed by the board. It explicitly states in the tax returns that there are no related party transactions. That means that they were telling the IRS that the rent that they were paying to Bethesda was not, there was no insiders that were related to the Bethesda board or the Bethesda church, which was completely false, because now we know that 3 people from this board benefited from these transactions due to being a related party. This is really big, you guys, because this is, like I said, I've done a lot of research between these companies. I already know a bunch of names. There's actually another video I'm going to make too, because Bishop Badger also has another nonprofit, which is under Bethesda. There's a lot of information I got out of that. And again, I can't stress this enough, because when I'm reading on these tax returns, I feel like the community is being taken advantage of. There's so much money that's coming in and flowing in over on Main Street, and they're putting on the tax returns that they are giving it back to the community, but I don't see any benefit that's actually going to the community. I see a lot of insider stuff. Also, with the foster care agency, they did an improper wind down. They never dissolved themselves. The last time they filed a tax return was in 2019. They had their tax exemption revoked. The assets were exhausted through expenses rather than transferred to another nonprofit. They failed to file a final return. Again, they lost their tax exempt status, and this looks like at this point there was some kind of charitable asset diversion with the Bethesda Church, with the foster care agency, and then the Bethesda Community Development. You guys, we really need to start holding these people accountable. I know that this pastor is probably asking for donations every Sunday when there's parishioners going to church, but you really should question what's going on with the money. Like I said, there's $80,000, $90,000, $60,000, $50,000 that's unaccounted for, that's going to Bishop Badger. And then he's turning to the community and asking the community for even more donations. Has anybody ever been helped from this church or from this foster care agency? Please answer.